I'm going to do a really quick modeling of just this general type of tin. Use it for today's assignment. So, yeah, I'm going to set my project to vintage tins. Cool. What? 2 folders called vintage tins? Pay attention to where you put stuff, guys. Alright, so I'm going to do a quick model of how to make a little sort of vintage tin like this, because I'm going to use it for demonstration in today's class. So, I'm just going to, I have my project set, I'm just going to bring this in image plane. For grims, I'll just pull it up here. And you'll notice that there is some perspective in this tin, which I'm just going to ignore. I'll just sort of, you know, pick one side of this and work off whichever one looks straight side to the side, that kind of thing. I'm just going to be lazy and make this a square tin, because I can. So, I will center this on the line, and then I'm just going to shift this over, because again, I'm just going to do square, I'll drag into whatever random shape I need later. So what I'm actually going to do is, close enough. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is actually just get rid of the top of this object. And I'm designing this to be a smooth model, but I just, for some reason recently, I've been really into beveling the edges to like get the sort of perfect edge that I want. I'm doing it right now. Fashion, perhaps, and I'm just, actually, I don't even know why I have the reference in here, to be honest. I'm probably barely going to use it. I would say, like, that looks pretty alright. I kind of don't hate that. It's a little, maybe a little much. But, there's 7. Yeah. Did I just say there was 7? I don't know, I'm just looking at the buttons now. Cool. 0.1. Close enough. Alright, so now that I have the bevel that I theoretically am happy with, I'm just going to, and you'll notice the whole bottom is an end gun right now. I'll fix that later. But I'm just going to give myself a little extrude, because I want to make this a space for that little lip thing at the bottom. So I'll just be like, boom, extrude. And then I will grab the edges on the top, because I deleted the top face. And again, I'll just extrude that. I'm hitting the G key, scale that up, and that will be the little area for that lip in there. And then it looks like it sort of comes in a little bit after that lip. There's a nub in the top, so I'm gonna G to extrude again. I'll just scale that down ever so slightly, and then move that up and be like, cool, here is the sort of inside of my tin. So that's the more or less, tending towards less, very basic shape of this object. To do the bottom, this little lip here, I'm just going to extrude that out. Like this. Maybe that's a bit aggressive. I don't hate that. Cool. Then I'll come back and like fix a bunch of this stuff later, but for now. And then do the same thing up here. I want an extra little lip in here, so I'm just gonna again G to extrude. I'll pull that out a little bit. And then this one actually looks like it's a little bit softer of a curve. So I'm gonna grab the edge right under here and maybe just pull that down ever so slightly. So when I smooth it, it has like a little bit of that sort of texture to it. So I'm just going to go through and harden this off a little bit, so when I smooth it, it looks better. image plane in here because no. So you'll notice like down here, there's a lot of pulling, and then I want that to be a pretty hard edge in there. So I'm just gonna tack in that edge loop. And again, I said I would come back in and deal with these, this like disgusting end-on. So I'll just grab this. I don't really have any pictures of the bottoms of these tins, so I'm just going to sort of assume that this perhaps comes in a little bit, and then maybe like comes up with a little dent sort of thing on the inside. So I'll just do this. That'll give me like the extra edge loop, and then I'm just going to extrude this one more time because again, this is still a huge end-on. Actually, I'm going to do things a little differently for a change. So I deleted that face, and I'm just going to select the corner edges that I have. And I will basically just merge this to center. This is a weird way of doing things, but like every once in a while I will. In this case, I'm going to do it like this because it'll make it easier to come back in and add edge loops if I need to later. So now I have like these weird little nubs, so it's kind of just a better layout of quads and tris, and I'm just going to pen these guys together like so. And since most of these is just it's just like one face and penning together, I am just using the actual pen tool instead of the bridge tool. And then I'll scale this so that these are a little bit more square. And now it's going to be a lot easier to add. Like if I need to come back in here and add an edge loop, I can do that. It's going to run around the whole can instead of just stopping at the tris at the bottom. So if I smooth that, you can see it's like not the best, not the worst. And I'm just going to go in and keep adding those little edge loops to harden this edge in here. So maybe this is like perhaps a harder edge. And then I actually just realized that actually no, that's fine. I do not need another edge in there, sorry. I'm imagining things. And the one thing I always notice about these little tins, so I need another edge loop in here. But I notice a lot of times they'll have like this bottom corner will be like a rolled piece of metal. So there's like a little dent in it. So I'm just going to take that middle edge loop and just drag that down a little bit. And that'll create that sort of folded, rolled edge. And then again, I'll just come up here and be like, cool, I imagine this should be harder. So I'll just add some more loops in like that. And I might actually delete this edge. It'll soften that edge like ever so slightly. And I did a control delete to make sure that it got rid of the vertices as well. Alright, so now I have that done. I want to make this can have depth, because right now it's just a sad little flat surface. I'm actually just gonna, before I do this, I'm just grabbing parts of this because I'm actually gonna reuse this top bit for the lid. But anywho, I'm just gonna select the entire object, go to extrude, I'll smooth it really quick, and then I'm just gonna pull this in using the local translate Z, otherwise known as the blue axis over here. You'll notice if you do this too much, it'll start doing real weird stuff to your geometry, but a little bit is usually fine, and then I'll have to come back in and clean up the inside. So you'll notice, once I do that, my normals are reversed. I'm just going to go to Mesh Display, Reverse, and now I have a super lovely can. The one thing I'm going to do though, again, this top corner is like bizarrely round, so I'm just going to go in and add some edge loops to harden that. I will do one on the inside, one on the outside, and two on the top. So now that'll be a much sort of harder looking edge. And I think the cans usually do, this little lip that I made on the outside usually does carry over to the inside. The one thing I want to make sure of, so smooth this. Okay. So you'll notice like some of these edges it looks like they're kind of clipping through each other a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just, I actually might just grab one of these attending ones and see if deleting the whole edge helps. And it does. It's now no longer clipping through each other. Huzzah. And there's definitely going to be issues at the bottom of this can. Like, almost definitely. Yeah, so in this case, for the bottom, I'm actually going to delete a lot of the geometry in this little hole. Because I just don't need it in here. So you got this guy, delete it. Because I don't want it to be rolled in like this on the inside. I just want that to be sort of a hard creased line at the bottom of the can. What the actual heck? Something got weird in there. Oh, whoops. I didn't get the whole edge loop, I just got a single edge. That would explain it. Alright, I don't hate that. You can see that there is still some funky overlapping geometry in here. So I'm just going to grab that whole edge. What am I doing right now? Try to pull it up. Oh, I see. Okay, I'm actually going to delete that edge. I'll split this. Okay, so I need this edge here. It's always awkward working with like really tight spaces. Alright, so theoretically, if I then look at this, so now I look at the inside, and I've basically just gotten rid of, again, on the inside, I do not need this rolled part here, so I just got rid of it. But I do kind of want that little, that like ever so slight lip. So I'm just gonna, it looks like I might need to scale this down a tiny bit, and then I'll just take this and push it down, and that should give me a little bit more of that sort of hard lip where they basically roll they have the outside of the can and the inside of the can, and they like fold these metal pieces over to attach them. That is, I believe, how they make these. So now if you go in, you'll see that it's nicer. I would love to know why. Alright. So for some reason my bevel got really weird in here, which is like making it kind of bothering me, so I'm just going to leave this bottom piece. Because I'm not a spaz at all. It's fine. So I'm just going to, again, grab this edge. I will pull it down ever so slightly. G to extrude again. Scale that in. And then I'm just going to scale this in again. And actually, instead of, I'll do Control 1 on this edge to isolate it. So what I can actually do is just, when I extrude it in, I'll just grab these ribs here. And just, instead of having to go back and select them all individually like I did the first time, that was kind of dumb and redundant. And then I'll go to Mesh Tools, and Append Polygon to close that hole at the bottom. So if I come back in now, you'll see that I have a nice, again, closed all tin, and the corners look a lot nicer. But I got rid of that little sort of bump that I wanted, or like ridge, so I'm just gonna go in and put that back. Yeah, cool. Close enough. It's the inside of the can. Alright, so that's how I'm making basic shape of the can. So again, I'm going to save this because I'm super paranoid. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to basically cut some stuff off of it to make the top of the can. So in this case, I just want this little rim on the outside. And I'm going to give it like the tiniest extrude ever out, because I don't want it to be perfectly flush with the can. As you can see, it's like really. It's like almost on the can, but not quite. So I likes my entering values. So I'm just gonna go in, marquee, go into my select mode, marquee select, and it should select basically the opposite of the stuff I just put in, which it didn't do. Alright, so back to isolate select mode. Just get rid of this, and if you smooth it, I'll just double click on these edges on the top and bottom, like that. And now when you look at this, if you go into the top mode, it's actually really hard to see. So if you look at this, there's like a very, very tiny gap between the top and bottom. Just something I like to do, not necessarily a requirement of anything. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit. And then basically I'm going to close this the same way I close the top. And if you're thinking ahead, again, you can smooth this as you go. So I'm just adding the edge loops in as I go to smooth this top edge here. I'll extrude again, pull these guys in, isolate select, and again, just close all of these guys with a merge to center. And then append to polygon to properly close the top. Cool. So now I have a lid. If I smooth that, one thing I kind of noticed is it's like maybe a little bit hard for what I wanted. So I'll take this, I'm going to scale this in, and you can see that softens it a little bit, and I'm also going to pull this down. It's maybe a little aggressive. I'm kind of just shaking this until I like it. Alright, so, and then I also, so if I look at my original thing, there's another little bit of rolled metal here. So I'm going to come back, grab this, and just extrude that down for that little piece of metal. And now this time, so what I did this time, instead of starting from the outside like this I made the outer shape of the can and then I extruded the whole thing in. This I'm working the other way because I want the fit on the can to be nice. So I'm going to just take my whole object again, extrude, and then pull it out. And I'm going to say that this is probably like a reasonable shape for this can. Now you notice when I did that, so now if I look at this, I'm like, cool, I have a little lid. You'll notice that it, for some irritating reason, like, this line is no longer straight at the edge here. So in this case, what I'm actually just going to do is delete this edge. And I'll just delete this edge. Sometimes and I'll do the same thing on the inside. Sometimes the extrude tool gets a little unhappy if you try to use, what the heck is it called? If you try to use like 90-degree edges on it, sometimes it does weird things. Anywho, so I'll just go back in, I'll add the little loop for the rolled edge here. And then the same thing as again I did before. I'll grab this, I will pull it out slightly, so like boom, rolled edge. And then I just need to go through and clearly I need to smooth this because this looks kind of awful. So I'll isolate select, save again because I'm paranoid. We'll start with this little rolled guy here. So, alright. So I need, clearly this edge needs to be hardened, so I'm just going to go ahead and be like, boom, hardened. And then if I go onto the bottom of my can, I will harden this bottom edge down here. I think I'm actually just going to keep this a little bit softer. And then I'll go in up here and do this this edge as well. And then again, I like that little, for some reason I'm a fan of the little dimple thing in the top. So I'm just going to like pop that up ever so slightly. Yeah. And then come down here and pull this edge down ever so slightly, and again that'll give me that nice rolled lid. And then this edge got a little soft up here, so I'm just going to come back in and be like, boom, edge looking cool. And I think that I don't hate the shape as a box. That's exciting. So one thing that you can do if you need to resize this, so if I wanted to make this like rectangular, instead of scaling the whole thing. Like if I were here, if I were to scale this like this, you'll notice it actually crushes a lot of the details, like in the front of the can here. The sides are going to be like way thinner over here because they've been scaled, so you totally don't want to do that. Instead, what you want to do is just select the vertices or the faces, not extrude. I actually think it's easier if you just do a mesh combine, then you can select everything as you need. So what you'd actually want to do is just come through, grab the verts on half of the model, and then just drag it over like this. And in doing this, you'll notice that it preserves the shape of this sort of curvature here. It doesn't thin parts of the can more than others, it just smushes stuff down. Now if your can is UV'd, doing this will totally affect the UVs, you'll just need to stretch them a little bit, but that should be a relatively easy fix. So that is how I would scale these and make semi-modular-ish cans. I can also shorten it if I want, or like take the lid and make it freakishly tall. I'm doing this really badly, but yay. You can do a bunch of stuff, so.